Hi, class. The topic I chose to work with this course was acid rain. I wasn't sure what to do, and when Professor Blizzard gave us our list and I saw it on there, I had to pick it because I live in Ohio. I remember in elementary school, I believe I was the third grade the first time I heard of acid rain. And this was in the 90s, a time before internet was really accessible, especially to a rural school. So our teachers did us a large disservice when they taught us about acid rain, because as a child, all I could imagine is like with the term acid, like us getting hit with rain and getting burns or skin melting off, or um, trees dying and towns becoming ghost towns because people have to move away because we can't grow anything. Um, it was mentioned, acid rain was mentioned. It was never told us what caused it besides pollutants. And that was the end of it. And so here we are, a bunch of children and afraid, and there was nothing there. So when I saw the topic option on our list, I had to follow up with it because after I left that school, so for 3 years, I heard about acid rain and how it was real and how it was happening, and then nothing. So I decided I had to follow up with this and learn. And in the process of learning about acid rain, I learned a lot. Growing up in the state of West Virginia, we are a coal state with coal mines, and we have a lot of coal fired power plants that make our energy and electricity. Growing up in a union home, I was raised with the entire idea that we support the coal and we love coal and it makes our energy and we need these jobs. I came into this topic thinking maybe because I only learned a little bit about acid rain and we don't hear about it, that it's not real and that it's a legislation ploy, and it's a ploy possibly by certain political parties to stop jobs that are needed and that we need in this area to keep homes and livelihoods going. Um, it did not take me long in my research to um, learn and discover that acid rain very much is real and still happening. Because acid rain was first coined many, many years ago and found with the Industrial Revolution and the damages it caused. There's been studies in time to learn and realize what could happen. It was learned by scientists in Canada that we actually have microorganisms in water that can fix the water from the pH balance change from acid rain. Acid rain is caused by the burning of fossil fuels and the use of fossil fuels, putting oxides into the atmosphere, and then it works against what we have naturally in our atmosphere to make our acid rain issues. Acid rain is causing damage to trees, causing a trees taking longer to grow. They're not growing as big as they used to be or as sturdy. Soil composition is changing. Waterways are changing the pH levels wrong, and it is killing off animals and organisms that we need. It is causing deterioration to monuments, buildings, and different things, and especially in the eastern U.S. You can read a lot about those. Um, my argument when I went into this was honestly thinking I was going to back up my opinion that I had before just from seeing it that this must be fake. Very quickly, after reading a few articles, I realized that because of the Clean Air Act in the 90s, we were able to deter a massive progression in acid rain deposits and acid rain issues for us. So, in the process of that deterioration, we are seeing that nature can restore itself and help itself and do things. In addition to that, though, I have learned in my studies that we need to keep moving forward. Even though in the US and Europe, especially, we've come so far with the Clean Air Acts and the EPA is forcing people to do what they need to do and forcing plants and companies to be responsible and take this and put these scrubbers in power plants and different things to help prevent the deposits of pollutants. There's other countries that aren't. So when we look at research, we find, like, for example, China does not have these type of um, clean air acts and legislation in place. So whatever they do not only affects China where they're at, as wind, air, and rain take those pollutants and move them and transfer them to other areas, it's now causing issues for areas that may be actually doing things to change it. So for example, let's say that we are um, we are in the state of New York has Clean Air Acts and is doing what they can to stop pollutants put in the air to cause acid rains, but the state of West Virginia is not. And the state of West Virginia is continuing to do what they want to do and use the coal burning and fossil fuels in order to provide power. Well, then when rain, water, and wind come and take those pollutants up to New York, and then it finally rains, we're now causing damage to New York, into their plants and monuments and different things. So there is a lawsuit from New York to other states. There were 5 states that they wanted them to follow up and do better work to follow the Clean Air Act, because it's not fair to New York and its people that they are being damaged by somebody else's choices. In reading my topic, I found a lot of research and evidence about why we need to continue Clean Air Acts and information like that, and why we need to move forward, and continue to stop the production of these items. What I had a hard time finding was opposing arguments that were valid. Most of my opposing arguments were in a political standpoint of, well, this person on this political stance wants Clean Air Acts, and this person that is in an opposing political stance does not want these acts to happen. There was no solid evidence besides the idea that it was a made up, pretty much anybody being at a keyboard and typing in, so-and-so made this up because they had money invested in clean energy and information like that. There was no way to trace it back and give solid, valid proof and evidence to what they were saying. And their arguments were never really well-rounded and well put out there. So it was very hard to find an opposing argument. So that further pushed me and led me to believe that the Clean Air Act is working and it was needed, and we need to continue our efforts to protect our planet. I feel the media coverage on acid rain is poor, and the information out there is very poor. It was very hard for me to find up-to-date articles because we are doing better and we do not have as much acid rain deposits as what they're saying in studies. Then we're not getting the media coverage. We're not getting articles. There's not a lot of further studies going into it and money going into the process. Because of that, it made my research very difficult, and it wasn't the easiest. I was able to find research easily stating that acid rain was a hoax and things to that, but not well-rounded information to that nature. I was not able to find up-to-date information continuing on and suggesting what needs to continue to happen to prevent the acid rain deposits in our area in other areas, and what legislation and governments could do in countries to support other governments and maybe financially support them to help them start legislation to change what's going on for them.